Hello, my name is Michael Lister, and this is for Module 6, Unit 3, Activity 1. First question is, what's the process and purpose of learning? This is a huge question. I would say it starts with, learning the consonants, the vowels, kind of that basic level, building up to recognizing words, being able to then sound out words. Then you build like a bank of sight words and other known words that you've been taught. This turns into sentences, paragraphs, books, right? The whole process, you should be building your vocabulary, learning how to use context clues to learn or to help understand new words. And then, right, it just continues to increase in complexity. The purpose would then be to draw meaning out of that text, right? If you're reading without understanding, you're missing the point, right? And then on a higher level, you're analyzing, you're applying, creating things based off of what you've read, right? So it's not just being able to do a comprehension test on the text. You'd want to then be able to transfer it to other subjects and things. What's the role of morphology and contextual analysis? Right, so morphemes are the smallest part of language that have meaning, and if you know those, we do this at our school. We have a bunch of books, right, and it teaches morphemes from Latin and Greek roots. And so if you know what those morphemes are, if you encounter a new word, you say like, oh, I know that morpheme, it might have to do with light or with water or something like that. And so it's just one way for an English learner to it's another tool in their toolbox, so to speak, as they encounter new words. Coupled with morphology is using contextual clues. So they encounter a new word, they can look at the sentence, maybe it's talking about someone that fell downstairs, and then they see a new word, and maybe they don't understand what a fracture is, but they can say, hey, based off of the story and what happened to this person, fracture probably means broke or hurt or something like that, right? For teaching phonemic awareness, it'd have to be explicit. Kids don't just learn those things. They don't just like pick them up, right? And so also that needs to be taught in like a sequential order. So we start with the very basic, and then we just kind of build up letter recognition, rhyming. How can you segment words? How can you blend words? How can you then manipulate words, right? And that has to be taught explicitly, right? And I'm watching my 5-year-old son, like see, k-at, cat, right? And he's learning, his teacher has taught him this whole process for recognizing words and then putting it together and then saying it faster. And he's not going to do that on his own. It has to be explicitly taught. And then she's taking him through a progress, right? And then obviously multisensory. If it's just text on paper or repeat after the teacher, that's going to be boring. So we have songs, we have visuals, we have manipulatives that the kids can move around, and it helps them to really solidify what they're learning. How can you use the home language? A lot of phonetic similarities, right? I'm a Thai learner. I live in Thailand, and there are similarities. There's a lot of differences, but there are enough phonemic similarities that you can have a bridge, right? Also with cognates, depending on the language, you can look at different words that are the same in Spanish as they are in English. With Thai, it depends on the language, but there's also similarities. I would also put using transliteration as a stepping stone, right? So transliteration being using your home language to how would you say it out loud? Like if a Spanish person was learning English, right? And they might, well, this doesn't work because they use the same language, but okay, maybe for a Thai learner learning English, they might use the Thai alphabet to sound out the word in English as a starting point. They don't want to stop there, but it would help them kind of get going. Like they can use their language as a stepping stone to kind of sound out the words. Again, beginning stages, right? Second to last question, necessary components for effective comprehension, right? You have to have a rich and growing vocabulary, period. Your vocabulary always has to be growing. You also need to be able to summarize. To be able to comprehend, I think if you can't summarize what you've just read, you probably didn't comprehend it. Making inferences, it's easy, kind of lower level, to just do, what's the word? Denotation, whatever the denotation is for the word, but to understand connotations and to then do like inferences is also going to be helpful. being able to think critically about a text, use prior knowledge, like if you're doing science or history, like what do we know about the past? This might help us as we're reading this text. And also being able to annotate and ask questions as you're reading, like real time. I'm sorry this is so long. Last question, evidence-based practices to improve comprehension and with people with difficulties and dyslexia. Obviously with dyslexia, or what is the, maybe it's not dyslexia, it's something else, or how bad is the reading difficulty? It depends. So obviously differentiated instruction, but modeling works with everyone, or is a good place to start. Again, vocabulary development, and maybe that looks different. Maybe it's visuals, maybe maybe that they hear it, right? There's an audio attached to it. Maybe they're doing something on an iPad. Graphic organizers, right? Being able to really see kind of almost from like a mind map sort of thing. Scaffolding the instruction is also huge, right? Instead of just giving a kid something to do, hey, just analyze this text, just kind of step by step, and we're gonna build up to the highest step. And then using consistent formative assessments, so checking them along the way. So sorry this was long, thank you.